Charleston City Councilman Harry Griffin is stepping down after losing a bid for a second term in November of last year. Today, I talk one-on-one with him about what's next for him for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Councilman Harry Griffin, for the last time, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thanks for having me, Quintin. Maybe our first or our last interview for a while, but first of many, hopefully,
Yes,
over
sir.
the next few years.
Over the next few
Hopefully
years.
this is the last time I'm talking to you.
Oh, no, not at all. As a matter of fact, you said this after, unfortunately, you lost your race for District 10. You said this: from the opening of our state-of-the-art forensic center to the grand opening of a thriving Harris Teeter shopping center, we have accomplished so much together over these past 4 years. Who is Harry Griffin 4 years later?
Well, I'm a lucky man. You know, serving District 10 has been a humbling experience, and every day I set out to leave it in a better place than I found it. And I feel like we've accomplished that task together. This isn't my seat. This is the seat of the constituents of District 10. And they chose to go a different direction over this next term. And all I can say is I thank them for the opportunity to serve, and look forward to seeing how all of our city council people work together with the mayor to make Charleston a better place to live.
If you could go back and work with the mayor together, what would you do differently?
Well, when I first started on council, I made it abundantly clear that I wasn't going to be bought by anybody, and I wasn't going to be a puppet for anybody. You know, maybe I came in a little bit too brash at times, but I wanted to make sure that it was abundantly apparent and clear that I was going to be working for the residents of District 10 and nobody else. That's what I feel like a representative is put in that seat to do, is to not make any sort of backdoor deals with other people or sit in somebody's office and make trades. I felt like there was a way to get things done in District 10 and make sure that the only people that I answered to were the people that elected me and that I represent.
Were there any?
So I guess if I could go back and do anything differently, you know.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, were there any alleged backroom deals or trades or anything that you know of?
You know, I'm not going to speculate, but I'm sure it happens. I mean, you can watch TV or you know, put two and two together and see how things work. You know, some people on council are, you know, working with the mayor behind the scenes more than I was. I never did that. Him and I never, you know, collaborated behind the scenes really on anything. I felt like the problems in District 10 were abundantly clear, and our city had spent so much money in studying Church Creek and the flooding problems that we've had, and FEMA had come in and helped us buy out properties in District 10, that I didn't need to sit in his office and beg for money to be spent in District 10. I felt like it was abundantly clear that needed to be done. So I never made any trades or, you know, worked on anything, you know, backdoor or anything like that. That's just not how I am. I'm very transparent. And every time we went to council, everybody already knew how I was going to vote on everything. You know, there was never any surprises with me. I mean, I think that's harder to find in politicians these days. So I'm thankful that I got the opportunity, but I don't think anybody was really surprised when they walked into the chamber to see how I was going to vote on it.
Now, without the mayor's support and without going to him, as you say, begging for money, how much money did you actually accumulate or receive for District 10 over the past 4 years?
Several $1 million, really. We really did a great job in District 10, and I'm not going to take all the credit. The mayor certainly played a part, and then the other members of council members, Shealy, Wagner, previously, Moody, Waring, our whole West Ashley contingency really came together to help get funding to District 10. But, you know, just in a National Fish and Wildlife grant, we got over $3 million. The city had to have a 50-50 match on that. We are investing in a 17 and a half acre lake in the northern part of Church Creek. The forensic center was a great addition, like I talked about. And when I announced, that I had lost the race, I'm very proud of that forensic center. That forensic center is going to be used by more than just Charleston County, the city of Charleston. Charleston County, their sheriff's office will be using it as well. Other municipalities will use it. It is a state-of-the-art center that will make the forensic abilities of all of our police departments catch criminals. And I'm excited about that. And we're very, very lucky to have it right there on Beast Ferry Road. So we spend a substantial amount of money in District 10.
With all these accomplishments that you just laid out, Councilman, why did you lose?
I don't think there's anything that can be gained by looking in the rearview mirror and, thinking about what could be done differently. I don't try to look back. I try to look forward. The only thing that matters to me is that I was granted the opportunity to serve, and I gave my best every single day on the job. The people of District 10 wanted to go a different way, and they're going to see over the next 4 years how Mr. Bowden does in this position. And, maybe he is a great representative. I think it's hard to really judge somebody in 4 years, but the political climate now is that people have a shorter leash with their politicians. If they feel like they're not serving you, or they may have a few missteps along the way. I'm certainly not perfect. I obviously have made a mistake or two along the way, and that's been documented. But it's been a pleasure, and I don't want to look back and say, well, what could I have done differently? The fact is, it's life, and nobody's perfect. We make mistakes. All I can tell you is I brought my A game every single day I was in office. I never let anything that happened to me in my personal life affect my position as a city council person. I studied our agendas and meticulously asked questions, and I defended the rights of our citizens. And so the only thing I'm going to look back and say is we gave it our best, and I hope that Mr. Bowden brings that same kind of energy that I did.
Now, you talk about bringing your A game to the job. Did you bring your A game to your reelection bid?
I did. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I didn't try to get reelected. Some people say, well, I didn't really try. But at the same time, I did. I tried hard. But at a few points during my term, especially when I was disgruntled, with some of the things that were going on, the pandemic and some of the decisions I thought we were making, I voiced my, some of my displeasure with the decision making, and I made comments that I didn't want to run again. So I think people remembered that. And, if there's one thing I could probably have done differently, is I should not have let my frustrations out in that way, because I did want the position, but it is a very, very tough job. There's a reason why very few people run for it every year, is because I think most people don't want it. It's you're not going to get patted on the back. People aren't going to tell you, great job or anything like that, and nor should they, because it's such a high and valuable position. It's such an entrusting position. People put their faith in you, and there's really no blueprint to it either, especially not when you're 22 years old right out of college. So, it was a learning experience in a lot of ways. It's something that has been one of the greatest accomplishments and joys of my young life. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you I didn't try to get another term, because I did. I worked really hard. We had a lot of volunteers. We knocked on a few thousand doors, but it just didn't work out that way. And I'm not bitter about it. I'm much more excited of what we did together and kind of where we left it compared to how I found it. That to me means a lot more than being bitter about an election. So I'm not going to waste my time being bitter. I wish Mr. Bowden nothing but the best. I just hope that he understands just the magnitude of the position, and that he doesn't try to go too much in a different direction, because I feel like when it comes to District 10 and what we were working on, we're doing a lot of good things over there.
First and foremost, have you met with Mr. Bowden?
I have not, no.
Do you want to?
Not particularly. I wish him the best, but his campaign was pretty abundantly clear that I was the wrong guy for the position, and that he understood where we needed to go. And obviously, the way that the campaign went, there was some really, really low blows that were kind of put out there against me that I didn't feel were very fair. And so, I just wish him nothing but the best. But, he made it abundantly clear, that he didn't really need my help. He did reach out to me and asked to meet up in December, but based on the way that the campaign went, and sort of how I think his direction is going to go, I don't think there was going to be a lot of common ground for us to talk about. So I have no ill will towards him, wish him nothing but the best, but him and I meeting together was not going to probably be very beneficial for him.
What particular
For me.
issues? I understand that. Yeah, what issues from his campaign and what issues from your campaign actually have a common ground right now?
Well, flooding. I mean, everybody in District 10 knows that we have a flooding issue, but, knock on wood, we never had a major flood event while I was in office. And that was a blessing, really. That was more of a blessing than anything that we did. Now, we did spend a lot more time having city stormwater crews out there cleaning out those ditches. And we have invested the money to get these storage projects implemented in the next couple of years. But I'm not going to take credit for us not having a major flooding event. We're very, very lucky these last 4 years. But I think that Mr. Bowden and I both agree that flooding is the most important and existential problem to come to District 10, and we cannot stop until we fix that problem.
And when the volunteers were knocking on the doors for you, which one of those particular homes that you go to personally and found out, listen, this is what we need in District 10?
Well, I mean, it's District 10 is definitely a diverse group of people. A lot of people were focused on the flooding. Some people were focused on overdevelopment, and others were still, upset about, some of the things that have happened throughout the pandemic. I've had people that were disappointed that we continued to implement the mask mandate for as long as we did. People were bitter a little bit about the fact that we were writing tickets to people. People were bitter that our city departments were meeting virtually for so long and they were not able to obtain permits through the city permit center. And people were, I had people that told me they weren't going to vote for me because I voted to move the John C. Calhoun statue to a new location. So tough decisions we make as a city council. But I stand by every decision that I make.
Do you stand by the John C.
I have no
Calhoun?
regrets about the votes.
Do you stand by the John C. Calhoun vote?
I have some heartburn about how it's gone since we took the vote. I was told by the mayor that we were going to move it to, well, really, it was going to a museum. That's what we were told time and time again. That a deal was in place for it to go to a museum. The deal apparently fell through at the 11th hour. We found out the day of the meeting that the Charleston Museum was not interested. And then when the statue was removed, it's been in storage ever since. So, yes, I have some heartburn about it, but what I voted on, which was a resolution to move it to a museum, I truly believe that was a good decision because I feel like just based off of the way that press conference went and, the people were egging it and spray painting it, throwing toilet paper at it. Eventually, I felt like there was going to be a group of citizens that were going to try to tear it down like we've seen in other parts of the country. And so I thought that a good compromise for all of our citizens would be to move it to a museum. That hasn't happened at this point, but we shall see what this new council does with that.
But by taking down this particular statue, Mr. Councilman, why hasn't this particular statue removal brought jobs to the communities that need it, affordable housing that people need?
education?
I don't know. I think that the statue removal was a way to, appease a group of people that obviously tensions were very high after what happened on May 30th. But, I don't think that taking down a statue is going to create jobs, create affordable housing. The people that can do that are the people that are sitting in their seats on city council. Now, you can ask any one of the city council people that I served with, whether it be the first 2 years or the last 2 years. We put an emphasis on creating affordable units, and we created more affordable units over this last 4 years than in the history of our city. So we're making strides there, but it's never enough. Jobs, there's a job. You can go out and get a job anywhere you want, but the problem is working for the city has caused people to, not make as much money as they would in the private sector. And, we had to this year bump up the pay of our city workers over 1,700 plus strong, which we did, which was a great thing. And I voted for that, because if we don't raise their pay and show them that we love them and that we care about them, they're going to go work in the private sector. And eventually you're going to get to a point where our city employees, we have such a discrepancy between the number of positions filled versus the number of positions open, that we're going to be left with us not being able to serve our citizens and have their tax money pay. They pay for services, they pay for their trash to be picked up, they pay for their potholes to be filled, they pay for their ditches to be cleaned out, and all of those departments have a really high attrition rate and a very, very low retention rate. So we have got to do a better job of taking care of our city employees so that they know that we love them, that we care about them, that we want them to be there. And really that's the biggest part of that, is making sure that they're paid and that they can be financially successful. Because to be honest with you, majority of our city employees don't even live in the city. They can't afford to. So we still have a long way to go in affordable housing. We still have a long way to go in how we treat our employees. But in the private sector, there's jobs everywhere. I mean, my company is hiring. If anybody needs a job, come call me, come see me. We're in the maritime industry, and we're always looking for more valuable members of our team. So.
Now, how many particular jobs within the city have been filled, and which are actually still open right now?
We have a large number, in the hundreds of positions that are unfilled. We're working off of like 2015 employment numbers right now. And some of our most important departments, and I don't want to single them out because I think every department is very important, but let's just say the departments that offer services to our citizens, some departments don't even have 50% of the positions filled. So we have a huge, huge dilemma on our hands. And it's not something that's going to be fixed with this pay increase this year. We were able to give all of our non-sworn employees about a 7% increase in pay this year. All of our sworn employees got a 4.5% increase, but they also got a stipend from the American Rescue Act, COVID relief money.
Right.
So they also, they got a little bit out of that as well. So it comes out to about the same, 7%. So that is a good size raise, but it's not enough. We're going to have to continue to offer more money to our employees if we want to keep them here, because they could easily go down the road to a job that is very similar to what they do at the city in the private sector and make 33, 40, 50% more than what they make at the city. Now, the city has great benefits, and you can't discredit that. Our benefits are second to none. It's our health, our medical insurance, our vision, our dental is something that really speaks volumes. And that's a lot of the reason I think a lot of city employees stay. But the money that they get in their paycheck that helps them pay for the success of their families, that's just as important.
Do you believe with the current vaccine mandate that the city of Charleston has, do you think that will basically allow people not to come, people who don't want the vaccine to not come to the city?
I think that when you have the politically charged climate that we have today, and you take the kind of stand that our city continues to take, when you know that the people that are going to be totally against your stand, if sort of like the way that we've made the rules now. Like, for example, whoever wants to come to City Council tomorrow night, public meeting at City Hall, and our mayor decided to implement a vaccine mandate in order to come to the meeting. You either have to have show proof of your vaccine card or a negative test within 72 hours, or you cannot attend the meeting. By doing that, you are going to keep away the people that are most against those policies. So there can be something to say that there's a little bit of politics involved in some of the decision making. If you know that you don't want the detractors to be there, then you just make the rules so that they cannot, or that it makes it harder for them. So I don't support the way that our city conducts business like that, and I certainly don't support allowing one man to make a decision like that without the consent of council. But as long as our city council continues to give him emergency, basically emergency powers, then he's going to be able to make those kind of decisions. And I don't support it. I don't agree with it, but it takes a majority of council to change that.
Did council approve this?
No, not my council. Maybe the next council, but our council did not. Now, would it have passed council? Probably, but I still believe that our council should have taken a vote on that and not allowed one person. I don't care if it's John Tecklenburg. I don't care if it's Joe Riley. I don't care if it's Joe Biden. I don't care if it's Donald Trump. I don't care who it is. But one person should not make a decision based off 150,000 people. There's a reason why we elect city council people to serve right alongside the mayor. And our council should have taken a vote.
Let me get back to District 10. You also said this in the newsletter. You said this: District 10, we can celebrate the fact that we are a priority in the city, not an afterthought. Let me ask you a couple of questions, because I know you have to run to your last Public Works Committee meeting. But how do you hope the city will develop policies and processes to amplify environmental justice considerations in land use, infrastructure, and natural resources planning?
And you want that in reference to District 10?
Yes, sir.
I would say that if you want to see District 10 be successful and you want to balance conservation with, some commercial development that makes sense, like our beautiful Harris Teeter that you've been to a few times, that you always text me and tell me how beautiful it is, because it is. It is a beautiful piece of property.
Yeah.
But we started talking about that Harris Teeter, there was a lot of pushback, especially from the environmental community. Now, we created a new stormwater standard in District 10, which is the toughest in the entire city. All new development has to go through these new stormwater standards. I sat down with Harris Teeter Corporate, I sat down with the landowners, I sat down with our city, and we came up with plans that made sense. And that Harris Teeter has not had one negative effect on its surrounding neighbors. Now, we've got some other potential commercial developments coming to District 10. They all have to abide by the new stormwater standards. And that is going to allow them to keep water on their property for at least 72 hours. A lot of these guys are telling me 80 hours or more. And what that does is it keeps District 10 and Church Creek from being overly inundated with water at one time. Because when you have all of this new development and they all try to drain into Church Creek at the same time, it just doesn't work. It backs up. And when the water backs up, it ends up in people's properties. So these new stormwater standards are going to do a great thing for District 10. But we have to have commercial development to be successful. We need some more properties like the Harris Teeter that has shops, that has doctor's offices, vet offices, a Starbucks, restaurants. That's a great tropical smoothie. That's a great development. And guess what? You can go from Shadow Moss. You can go from Grand Oaks. You can go from those neighborhoods to that development without ever getting on Highway 61 or without ever getting on the East Ferry Road. That's how we keep cars off the road. That's how we make our neighborhoods more interconnected with our commercial development. And that is the future of District 10. If we can continue to operate within the rules that we've put into place, allow some of these commercial businesses to come online while also respecting our stormwater standards, we're going to be a thriving community. We have already started that process, but we can be that in just a few years. As long as we do that and we continue to get grant money, like with the National Fish and Wildlife Federation, we take that money, we create storage. I'm really, really excited about District 10, and I'm going to be watching it closely to make sure that all of those things get implemented.
And I got a couple of more questions before you have to run.
Go ahead.
Yeah, how do you hope the city will continue to provide and expand the park system to include large and small parks, to include this, and obviously promote equitable access and safe alternative connectivity to greener spaces and water around your district?
We have the opportunity to create so much park space in District 10 and in District 5, District 2, that outer West Ashley area. Bear Swamp, there's thousands of acres there to create parks. Up above Village Green, there's a lot of park space. We're looking at a plan that could create the biggest county park in all of Charleston County right there in District 10. It's all there to be found. Now we have to balance creating that park with also how do we also spend money appropriately and fix up the parks that we already have in place. West Ashley Park, which is over across from West Ashley High School,
Right.
it's been underutilized since day one. I mean, yes, there's some soccer fields out there, there's some baseball fields, but could be a very, very scenic, beautiful park that could create a lot of activity, but it's wet a lot of the time. There's a lot of wetlands there. And it just seems like that park's never been utilized correctly. So I would love to see us invest time into making sure that the parks that we currently have are successful. We also have to look to the future. And in Bear Swamp, there's an opportunity, which is behind Hunt Club, in that area back there off of Bees Ferry Road, near Main Road. There's an opportunity to create vast amounts of public parks, both Charleston County and the city of Charleston. I'm telling you, District 10 is going to be a thriving community that has all kinds of amazing things if our city continues to make it a priority.
Would you make a park behind Springfield and connect across to Church Creek?
I mean, I think that's a great idea, and I don't really know much about that. That's not in my district. That's in Kevin Shealy's district. But next time you talk to him on Quintin's Close-Ups, make sure you ask him that.
I definitely will. Let me keep going because I know I'm running out of time. In what way should the city build, maintain, and preserve an array of high-quality cultural facilities and sites, especially in areas of the city with less access to existing culture resources? I talked a little fast there, but
I would love to see us continue to create culture centers throughout this city. We don't have anything like that in District 10. You and I have talked about that before. I'd love to see that in District 10. I want District 10 to be diverse. I want it to be diverse by our people. I want it to be diverse by what we can offer our people. So I would love it if the city would continue to move resources out to District 10. We already have a beautiful forensic center, which we touched upon. I would love to see a cultural arts facility as well. I'd love to see an open theater out in District 10. I think that would be a great addition.
And what will be the top 5 job creators in the city in the next 5 years in your mind?
Well, I don't think the city of Charleston is going to be a top job creator. We need to focus more on filling the positions that we have. But I'll tell you, our economic drivers are the port, manufacturing. Walmart is creating a multi-million square foot facility. A lot of these jobs are not going to come within the city of Charleston limits. I'm just going to be frank with you. The city of Charleston has not always done a great job of bringing economic drivers to the city limits. Our neighbors in North Charleston, they take a lot of our jobs. They bring industry to their area. And so you're going to see Mercedes, you're going to see BMW. Well, they're in Greenville, but they bring in cargo through the port of Charleston. You're going to see Volvo, Walmart, big player, Amazon, big players like that are going to be the industries that drive commerce and create jobs in this region.
The increase in jobs has led to an overall increase in median wage for how many residents in District 10?
Well, District 10 is a very suburban, middle class area. We're very blessed that we all have good, hardworking, good paying jobs. A lot of people work at Boeing and in some of these other industries. I have a lot of people that work in the maritime industry like me. But we're a diverse group. I think anybody that wants to work right now, they've got the opportunity. Employers are hiring feverishly and they're paying a lot more. So I think that you're going to see the median wage, I should say, go up in all of our city residents. I'm telling you, there's so much work out there to be found. And I'm telling you, I said it before, I'll say it again, come to Neal Brothers, come join me. We're always hiring.
Where in District 10, Councilman, should the city explore opportunities to support new commercial and mixed-use developments to enter into community benefit agreements or other commitments to hiring residents from surrounding neighborhoods?
Well, we've got to continue to look at some of the areas that we've started to improve. We've got the Harry Shopping Center. We've got what was formerly a Bilo, which is now a Lowe's Foods that anchors a shopping center down there. There's some nice out parcels that can be filled in that section. We've got a piece of commercial development coming to the entrance of Shadow Moss at Middleborough in Beast Ferry Road. That's going to create maybe a restaurant or two, some doctor's offices and stuff like that. It needs to be up along the road, not within the neighborhoods. But there are some spaces along Beast Ferry Road where we can have some commercial development that can be successful.
Should the city advocate for additional rapid transit routes along the Sam Rittenberg Corridor, Savannah Highway, the Glen McConnell Parkway, Foley Road, and of course Clemens Ferry Road out in Daniel Island?
We need to do a better job of getting more routes, more stops. And some of the stops are dangerous. There's a stop on Glen McConnell that's very dangerous that I'd like to see moved, or at least put a nicer bench there for people to sit and wait. But we've got to do a better job of making public transportation something that is more desirable for people out in outer West Ashley. There aren't enough routes or enough stops out there.
And in what terms do the city grow the city's capacity to improve maintenance of existing drainage infrastructures in your district?
Well, we've done a much better job over the last 4 years in maintaining our drainage. And we've had our city stormwater department come out there and clean ditches and drains at a very, very high level. But we've only got 2 of the 7 stormwater crews filled. We've got them funded, but we don't have anybody in the position. So we've got to do a good job of hiring more people for our stormwater department. And on that note, I'm going to have to head off to my public work.
Yes, sir. And let me ask you.
I hate to cut you short.
Yeah, one last question for you, Councilman. In all of what you've done on City Council for District 10, which particular project describes your legacy?
I'm too young to be thinking about a legacy. There's so much more that can be done. Obviously, getting the FEMA buyouts finished and getting Bridgepoint, getting those townhomes demolished and returning that property to natural green space, and eventually it's going to be a beautiful city park in this calendar year, I should say. That'll be something that every time I go and utilize that park and visit that park and hear others doing it, that'll be something that I'll always cherish. But I'm too young to be thinking about a legacy. There's so much more that I can do to help our city, our residents. And even though I'm not in the position now, I'm going to always be a public servant in a lot of ways. I'm going to find ways to help people.
And lastly, Councilman, what is that one thing that you would actually add to the city's stormwater standards for your district in the future?
I think we've got a good stormwater standard for District 10. I'd like to see some other parts of the city implemented as well. But retaining water on your property for 72 hours or more is a great thing. And we need to continue to implement that.
Councilman Harry Griffin, hopefully not for the last time, thank you for your time and welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
It's not goodbye. It's just so long for now. I'll see you again soon, good buddy.
Thanks. I appreciate it.